As always, my name is Giga Willoughby. I'm a Vice President of Research and Analyst here at Red Cloud Securities Incorporated in Toronto. In the office today and being joined remotely by Jorge Monroy, who is the CEO of Reyna Silver. It's a relatively new company, and we're very excited to have Reyna Silver in our Summer Silver Conference. So, thank you, Jorge.
Jacob, thank you very much to you and to Red Cloud for giving me the opportunity to introduce our company. And, first of all, to everybody who's listening, thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation, and obviously hoping that you're all keeping well and safe in this difficult times that we're facing. So I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce our company to you all. As Jacob mentioned, we are a relatively young company. I started the company about 3 years ago, and I had a big interest in the silver space and looked for an opportunity to invest in the sector at a time where there was very little interest. So I went to Vancouver, had a number of discussions with different mid-tiers and some of the big silver exploration companies, and having a discussion with Peter McGaw, who's the founder of Mag Silver. He mentioned to me, look, we have two assets in the portfolio of Mag Silver. There were two assets that I personally, meaning Peter, put together over a number of years, and which were part of Mag Silver's original IPO. They both have district scale and high-grade potential, and they have essentially been sitting in Mag Silver's portfolio for a number of years, really as a result of the tremendous success of Juanicipio, which is their main asset. So I went and visited the assets. I recognized Peter's excitement and recognized the potential in the assets, and we did a deal with Mag Silver, which allowed Mag Silver to remain our shareholder. They own 20% of the company. The company went public last month. We raised 6.5 million Canadian dollars, and many of you would have seen that this morning Capital 8 announced a financing of our company, and for another additional 5 million Canadian dollars. And we also have, in the process of closing that financing. At present, we have a very strong institutional investor base. About 20% of the company is owned by institutions, 20% by Mag Silver, and 20% by management. We have 4 main projects, all of them in Mexico. All 4 of them have the potential to be district scale, and all of them have high grade. Those are our 2 main approaches. Giga and Batopilas are the 2 assets that came from Mag Silver. Both of them have had drilling and substantial exploration by Mag Silver. They were the result of many years of work by Peter McGaw prior to Mag Silver's IPO to put these districts together. These are 2 historic districts. Both of them have historic production that's very significant, but they had never been put together. And then we have El Durazo and Matilde, which are 2 projects that we generated previous to our deal with Mag Silver. A little bit earlier stage, but also in strategic locations and very prominent silver districts. Why would you invest in our company? We have a portfolio of silver assets. We have the benefit of having Peter McGaw as part of our deal with Mag Silver. Peter has remained as our chief exploration advisor. Obviously, Peter's track record is phenomenal in the silver space, specifically in Mexico. Management has skin in the game. We have institutional ownership. We have good liquidity. Now we'll have about $11 million, and the possibility of create substantial value in our properties. I'll tell a little bit about our strategy for the company in terms of exploration. We spend the better part of the year generating our targets for our main asset, Giga. And this year we'll be conducting at least 10,000 meters of drilling with the additional funds that we have received. We are looking to expand that program. We are also in the process of consolidating the Santa Eulalia district, and we announced an acquisition that's adjacent to our Giga project, which was announced about 3 weeks ago, which is a very important acquisition for us, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then in terms of Batopilas, which is our secondary asset, we're in the process of generating the drill targets, and we hope to be in a position to be drill ready by the end of the year. I wanted to tell a little bit about our company, where we sit in terms of our peer group and where we see the potential. These are a number of our peers. Not all of them are, you can make an exact comparable to our company, but I would point out 3 companies that I think are close comparables to our asset base, and that would be Vizsla, Minorum, and Kootenay Silver. The reason I say they have some similarities with their asset base is these are companies that have assets that do not have a resource, and they draw their value from having delivered to the market high-grade silver results. In the case of Vizsla, it's a very interesting case study. They started the week prior to this one with a market cap below ours, roughly 45 million market cap. And then from a successful drill campaign that was released to the market, that was their first set of drill results. Many drill holes that were, extremely high-grade silver. That pushed their market cap from 45 to 170-something million. And that's really what we see as a potential for our shares and for our company. Both our properties have drill targets where we can expect those kinds of results. And I'll be discussing that in more detail as we move along in the presentation. We have had exceptional liquidity. This slide is a couple days old. We, I think, now have traded about 16 million shares in the roughly a month and 3 weeks that we've been trading. Most of you will be familiar with Peter McGall, who I'm talking about him. He has a tremendous track record of discoveries for Mag Silver, Juanicipio, and the Valdecañas vein, plus Cinco de Mayo, which is a CRD deposit similar to the one we have at Giga. And he has been either directly participating in other major discoveries, as well as his geological model has been used as a footprint for other significant discoveries in Mexico and in the US. And Doug Kerwin, who many of you may be familiar with, he was the VP of Exploration of Ivanhoe. He was actually one of our early investors. Spent a few days looking at the data room, speaking to Peter, and was excited to join us, and very supportive of the story, and somebody that Peter has an opportunity to bounce ideas with. Of course, well known for Oyu Tolgoi, but he has done a fair amount of work and has also a couple of silver discoveries to his name in Mexico. So let me tell you about our flagship asset, Giga. This is a property which is at the heart of the Santa Eulalia district, which is a district that has produced 50 million tons of ore, which is close to 500 million ounces of silver equivalent, where the grade of the silver is roughly 900 grams per ton silver equivalent, where the grades of the silver is 310 grams per ton silver with about 15% lead zinc combined. So very significant deposit. You can see in the slide here we have to our west the Potosi mine, and to our east the San Antonio mine. And from these two mines, that's this production that I told you, that's where it's come from. It's a CRD district, and what's peculiar about this district is that the heart of the CRD has never been found, and Peter McGaw has a very strong indication that undiscovered part of the district has never been found is in our property. If you are familiar with CRDs, you maybe have seen this slide in a number of other silver presentations. This is a geological model that Peter McGaw is credited with, and it really has helped in the last couple of decades exploration companies understand CRD deposits much better. CRD deposits are very well known in Mexico now, really as a result of Peter's work. The Giga deposit that we have was actually Peter's PhD thesis. What's interesting about the Santa Eulalia district is those two mines that I showed you only represent this upper part of the geological model, so the chimneys. A CRD has a manto system, chimneys, and then a skarn that's found close to the intrusive. So all that, the CRD district, without having found the skarn, is one of the biggest, I think the second biggest skarn CRD system in North America. And again, the source of the system remains undiscovered, and there's numerous indicators that point towards that source of the system being in our property. This is validated by the drilling that Max Silver has done over the years. You can see here, Max Silver, those red dots in the presentation represent about 13 drill holes that Max Silver has done over a span of about 10 years. Those validate different parts of the geological model. They prove there's continuity between the chimneys from the producing mines going into our property, the type of rock, several a long list of surface expressions, and also this geophysics that was taken by Max Silver, and which has actually, it shows a very strong sets of anomalies here and here next to the new property we bought, La Chinche, and these targets have never been explored with, basically never been drilled. And these two areas are where our drill targets are going to be drilled starting this fall. We've started the process of permitting. Mexico typically takes about 2 months to obtain these permits. We expect to get these permits within September and be able to drill the property. With the time that I have left, I'll tell you about our second project, which is also an amazing property. It's called Batopilas. It has an amazing history. It was producing a mine until 1910, and it produced 350 million ounces of silver, where the average grade of the silver was 1.5 kilos per ton. It was has a very interesting story. It was a public company in the U.S., and then with the advent of the Mexican Revolution, revolutionary forces came into the Batopilas town, kicked out the Americans out of the town, collapsed part of the infrastructure for the mine. This was Mexico's first modern producing mine, and it sat idle until the mid-90s, where NAFTA was signed and American and Canadian companies started coming back into Mexico. At that time, what Peter did, Peter McGaw, with a few partners, he put together a district that comprises, at the heart of it, the old mine, which was, what produced those 350 million ounces at a 1.5 kilos per ton average. But in addition to that, he put together about 1,000 plus hectares and 30 known veins, all of them with historic production, very similar grades, above a kilo per ton, amazing drill targets. And, this district was put together for the first time by Max Silver. Max Silver did drill it and found some very interesting intersects, including 1.7 meters of 2.5 kilos per ton, 1 meter of 3,000 grams per ton, and a number of more moderate drill holes with still good grades, 100, 200 grams per ton over, up to 8 meters. What we have to do here is we want to have a combination of drilling around the old mine and then exploring some new targets. But again, this is a district scale, very high grade, and a very exciting property. We have another property that's very early stage, but also at the heart of the main silver district. And in summary, I'll just tell you we have really the benefit of one of the most successful silver exploration geologists in North America. We're well funded, 2 properties with targets that have a high possibility of delivering strong real results, and we can convince the market that we have the potential for commercial silver deposits. So thank you for giving us the time again. Thank you to Red Cloud for hosting us, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Jorge. I think I'll start off by just asking a question that you probably covered, but just to give everybody another chance to stay up to speed on it. When can you start your drilling program at Giga?
Yeah, so the base case scenario is 2 months would be 2 months from now would be sort of the quickest we could start. COVID has a few things in Mexico. Everything is working normally, as you can see. A lot of companies have announced drill campaigns and are constantly drilling, so it is functioning. But there could be a slight delay because the ministry was closed from March to June, so there's a little bit of backlog. Other than that, we think it's realistic to start drilling within September. Now, there is one scenario in which we could start drilling sooner. As I mentioned to you, we acquired a property called La Chinche, which is really an appendix to Giga. It was an important acquisition for us because if you remember that slide I showed you with the geophysics, there's a strong anomaly that bleeds into their property. So we didn't want to be in a situation where we start drilling and then it turns out half the discovery is in their side. So we've now secured that on an option agreement. We're fully funded now to execute on that agreement. Now, that property came with valid drill permits in many areas. So our team is now evaluating those areas. And if we determine that there's some good drill targets there, that would put us in a position to start drilling as soon as within a month. It will take us at least 2 weeks to evaluate those targets. I've had our team of geologists at the property doing detailed mapping, matching Max Silver's geophysics, because Max Silver's geophysics actually did cover our neighboring property, even though it wasn't ours at the time. So we have a headway there, and that could be a scenario where we could drill earlier. But just to be conservative, let's say within September.
Great. Okay. So, and just to clarify for everyone, that property acquisition was an attachment to the main Giga property.
That's correct. And it's a property that Max Silver had been chasing for a number of years. Mm-hmm. For a number of reasons, that it wasn't possible. It was in the hands of a junior mining company that was advancing it at the time, and then everything lined up so that there was an opportunity for us to bring it into a portfolio, which to be honest is something that adds a tremendous value because now we control the entire district. Typically, the heart of a CRD would be between 2 to 3 kilometers from those chimneys. So now it certainly would be within our drill target area, and if we make a discovery here, it'll be something very significant.
That's very exciting. We just have about 30 seconds left for this session, but there's a question online asking about what have you learned about Batopilas since the last time it was drilled? I know that it's almost no time.
No, it's very little. I'll be honest with you, it's very little. Okay. And that's what we need to do at Batopilas. There is actually some drill targets there that are very good for Max Silver, but really what we need to do in that property is do a bit of a rethink, and then go and do geophysics, go and do detail mapping, satellite imagery, and then we think within 3 to 4 months of work there we'll have our drill targets. but that property is not drill ready yet, not because of permits, but really because we need to do a little bit more work.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much for keeping
Thank
that.
you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and appreciate everybody who listened to the presentation.